Ahmed was like that. One of the great scholars of Al-Islam is a contemporary of Imam Ahmed. And he's also Imam of Sunnah and Aqid. His name is Yahya bin Ma'in. Yahya bin Ma'in. One of the 10 Amirul Mu'mineen in Hadith. Yahya bin Ma'in. He said, كان في أحمد بن حنبل خصال ما رأيتها في غيره من العلماء. I saw in Ahmed ibn Hanbal some qualities I didn't see them in anybody else from the scholars. Then he went on to mention he was a muhaddith, he was an imam, he was a faqih, he was a person who had wara, he was a person who was zahid, he was a person he was aqid, and he was a qari, he was everything. He had like a mufassir, he had everything. Not only just the knowledge, but he had wara. Wara is a person who is very careful and he's aware about what he eats, what he says. They said the majlis of Imam Ahmed, he didn't talk about people. The majlis of Imam Ahmed, he wouldn't talk about the dunya. The majlis of Imam Ahmed, if someone started talking about women, like in that kind of way, with shahwa, he would say, get out of here with that. That's wara. Wara is not wasting money, not wasting food. Wara is not wasting time. They said Imam Ahmed was on another level. He had zuhd. He wasn't from the abna of the dunya. So when we say we want to be on the sunnah, the darab is tawil. It's a long journey. It's not Quran. It's jihad fi sabilillah. These imams were on another level. There's a great scholar in Islam, Abu Umar al-Nuhas, from the ulama al-Hadith. He said about Imam Ahmed, rahmatullahi alayhi, there was no one who was more sabr than Imam Ahmed as it relates to the dunya. He said there was no one who, concerning the people of the past, meaning the companions, he resembled them like Imam Ahmed. He said concerning the salihin, righteous people, whoever they are, whatever they happen to be doing, whatever time. He said you never saw anyone being like the righteous in the majlis more than Imam Ahmed. He said, عُرِدَتْ عَلَيْهِ الدُّنْيَا فَأَبَاهَا وَالْبِدْعَ فَنَهَاهَا وَاخْتَصَّهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِنُصْرِ الدِّينِ. Imam Ahmed was offered the dunya. We're going to give you money, as you're going to see. We're going to give you money. Just stop saying that. We're going to give you money. He refused it. He was offered beyond the innovation. And you're going to be the man. Yeah. He rejected it. He just didn't refuse it. He rejected it. Fought against it. And Allah helped his religion through Imam Ahmed. So there are many scholars like Imam al-Bukhari. We love Imam al-Bukhari. Allah didn't give intisar to Islam for Imam al-Bukhari like he did for Imam Ahmed. He has his own special way. But Sahih Bukhari helped this ummah, no doubt about it. But Imam Ahmed had it in a different way, helping the sunnah and the aqid of the people of the sunnah. So that's why those scholars said Imam Ahmed was the imam of Ahl Sunnah. Concerning that statement of Al-Nuhas, Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, has a book called Al-Furusiyya. Al-Furusiyya means like warrior. How would you translate Furusiyya? Yeah, like a knight. Yeah, knight. Like they say right now, Andrew Tate and those people, red pill, black pill. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, right? That thing that they're saying, it doesn't just back out of the air. There's some truthfulness in that. Red pill, black pill, what they call him, a man? What kind of man? Alpha man. And there's another word that they use in relationships. I can't remember. Al-Furusiyya is all of that. It's the man being a man, knowing how to ride a horse, knowing how to handle himself, knowing how to make money, just knowing how to be a man, having the edit of a man. things like that. Like our sons. If you throw them a ball, you want them to catch the ball. You want them to kick the ball, like, don't let it fall, maybe kicking it like that. You got to teach them that. You don't want a son that when he picks up the glass to drink, he's drinking like this, and his fingers are like, you don't want that. That's not photo-see. Anyway, Ibn al-Qayyim, he wrote this book about being a knight, chivalry, all of that. Concerning the statement of a nuhas, and Imam Ahmed was the most righteous, and Imam Ahmed had the most sabr, and Imam Ahmed, the dunya was offered. He said no, he refuted this, and he gave him all that. Ibn al-Qayyim said about that statement of a nuhas, and this is the way the A'imma al-Muttaqeen are. The Imams of the Taqwa, that's how they are. And then he put in his book the ayah of the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةٍ يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. Allah said in the Quran, we made from them imams who guided people with our knowledge, with Allah's book, his religion. And Allah made them those imams because they used to have sabr, and as a result of that, Allah gave him yaqeen. And it appears that Imam Ahmed had yaqeen. He had yaqeen. So that's the first reason. The first reason, those qualities. Second reason, why is he called the Imam of As-Sunnah? Second reason, and Imam Ahmed gathered up more hadith and kalam about the Sunnah and concerning the Sunnah than anybody. Intaha ilayhi. The nusus of the Sunnah and the things about the Sunnah, they start with Imam Ahmed. Other people had a lot, but Imam Ahmed was unparalleled, tremendous scholar when it came to that. His son, Abdullah ibn Ahmed, he's an important individual in Islam. He was Imam Ahmed's second son. And Imam Ahmed had his oldest son who was Saleh. His name was Saleh. And then he had a second son from another lady. His name was Abdullah. Abdullah was closer to Imam Ahmed. Abdullah used to travel with Imam Ahmed. And that's why he is Abu Abdullah and not Abu Saleh. He's Abu Abdullah, although Saleh is his Ibn al-Akbar. Some scholars say before he had children, he was known for his kunya, which was Abu Abdullah, and he didn't have kids. So if you're not married, it's still from the Sunnah Abu Bakr to take a kunya. Some of the companions, Rasulullah gave a boy a kunya. The brother of Anas ibn Malik, he had a bird, and his bird died. And I told you guys the Sunnah of the Nabi al-Mustafa, the Nabi al-Rahmah, is that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if anyone went missing, he would say, Anas, where's your little brother? I haven't seen him around. I don't see him in the masjid. Where's he at? He said, Ya Rasulullah, his bird died. And he said, come out of the house. Rasulullah said, come on, let's go. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Abdullah, Sa'd, the 10 people, but the elders, they went to see the boy. When they went in his house, Rasulullah said to the little boy, Ya Aba Umayr, Ma fa'ala al-Nukhayr. Hey, Abu Umayr. And he gave him the father of Umayr, the little Umar. What did your little sparrow bird do? And the boy started smiling when Rasulullah gave him that kunya. So that goes to show the Sunnah is tafaqqut al-ashab. When someone goes missing, we have to say, where is he at? It goes to show the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, easy and gentle. That hadith that I just mentioned to you, a scholar of Islam wrote a book giving 75 benefits from that hadith. So he gave the boy a kunya. They said his kunya at the beginning was Abu Abdullah. Some I got to tell you about Imam Ahmed's sons. Saleh, his mother's name was Aisha. And Imam Ahmed was married to her for 20 years by herself. And all she had was Saleh. That's it. And then she died after 20 years. And then he married another lady. Her name was Rayhan. She gave him Abdullah only. And then she died. And then he went to the marketplace and he brought what the right hands possess, a jari. And from the jariya, he had other children, twins, Hassan, Hussein, a son, Hassan. He had like 6 other kids. But the thing is, what we want to mention is, and Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah ta'ala, although he was a tremendous scholar in Islam, he didn't have a lot of children, really. He didn't really have a lot of children. And that was towards the end of his life. Anyway, back to the point. Concerning this issue, Abdullah, his son, said, the great scholar Abu Zur'a al-Razi, he's from the Imams of Islam. He has a book like this called As-Sunnah. It is a small pamphlet you put in your pocket. It's a small pamphlet, 8 pages. Not only is it small, but he collaborated with Abu Hatim al-Razi. 2 great scholars gave this little itty bitty book and they collaborated, and it's like this, As-Sunnah. Abu Zur'a said to Abdullah, your father memorized 1 million hadith. Al hadith, your father memorized. And Imam al-Dhahabi said about that, هذه الحكاية صحيحة ثابتة in Sir Alam al-Nubala. He said that this is authentic and it comes from chain of narrations. 1 million hadith. He memorized the Quran with knowledge about different aspects of the science. The man was a genius. I could just on another level of existence. Concerning that knowledge of Imam Ahmed, Ali Madini, important personality from Al-Hadith, one of the 10 people, Amirul Mu'mineen in Hadith. Ali Madini said, there was no one from our ashab who was afdal than Imam Ahmed. And what did he mean by our ashab? He said there was no one from our ashab, al-hadith. Ali Madini wasn't on Imam Ahmed's madhab. He didn't have to be on his madhab. He was a mujtahid, mutlaq. But al-hadith, the aqidah, the people were al-hadith. He said there was no one from al-hadith who had more him than Imam Ahmed. Imam al-Shafi came and said, yeah, Ahmed, you were more knowledgeable about the hadith than I am. So anytime you know the hadith, tell me about it so I can go with it. I can support it. He never said you're more knowledgeable about the fiqh of Islam. If you look at the Masjid of al-fiqh that Imam al-Shafi gathered up, they outweigh what Imam Ahmed had, but in both of them is khayr. Both of them. Both of them were mujtahids. So anyway, it just goes to show the point that we're trying to make. Imam Ahmed was the Imam of As-Sunnah because of all of that hadith that he had. So he's the Imam of As-Sunnah. One of the great scholars in Islam is Abdul Razak al-San'ani. Abdul Razak al-San'ani. He was doing their time. He was the Sheikh of Imam Ahmed. He was from Yemen, al-San'ani. Probably the greatest scholar of Yemen, Allah. He has a book of hadith called Kitab al-Musannaf. Gotta write that down. Kitab al-Musannaf. And there's the shedd over the noon and it's fath. Kitab al-Musannaf. This book is important because it's the book that gathered the narrations of what the companions did. And there's another one by scholar Ibn Abi Shayba. Ibn Abi Shayba. Kitab al-Musannaf, 2 of them. By Abdul Razak al-San'ani and one Ibn Abi Shayba. Why is it important? Because I want to practice and follow Islam the way the Salaf did. Well, in that book, that's what to focus on. If the companions came to the Masjid and they were going to start a new line, do you begin from the right? Do you begin from the middle? Do you begin from the left side? This is what that book is about. It's what they did. It's not what the Prophet said, although the book has some hadith in it. But it's the focus is on what the companions did, what they understood, their fatwas, their actions. Ridwanullah alayhim. Anyway, Al-Imam Abdul Razak, Al-Imam Ahmed traveled from Al-Baghdad and he went all the way to Yemen to get knowledge of hadith from Abdul Razak As-Sunnah. He was 36 years old. You have to read about his trip and how tough it was, how he didn't have any money, and how he was eating the seeds of dates, and how he was just hungry all the time. Anyway, when he came from Yemen, this is important, when he came from Yemen, he decided to write his famous book after meeting Abdul Razak As-Sunnah. And the most important book of Imam Ahmed is one of the classic books in Islam called Al-Musnad, the Musnad of Imam Ahmed. There are other Masanid, but there's no Musnad like Imam Ahmed. The Musnad is the book in which you'll find a companion and all of the hadith that companion narrated will be in one chapter. And then the next chapter, all of the hadith of that companion. It wasn't about the book of Tahara, the book of Salat. No, we're not like that. Sahih Bukhari, not like that. Sahih Bukhari is a book of fiqh. The book by Imam Abu Dawood is a book of fiqh. They said that Abu Dawood al-Sajistani was afqahu than Imam al-Bukhari. But his book is not stronger than Bukhari's book. Anyway, he authored that book after coming from Yemen. Now listen. One of Imam Ahmed's relatives, his name is Hanbal ibn Ishaq. He said, when Imam Ahmed finished this book, the book has 30,000 hadith in it. 30,000. Is that a lot? Compared to 1 million, it's not a lot. But it is a lot. If you memorize those 30,000, you're a scholar, if you understood that. Hanbal ibn Ishaq said, and Imam Ahmed sat me down, sat his son Salih down, sat his son Abdullah down, and read these hadith to us. 30,000 with the chain of narration. So it's no wonder that his sons grew up as ulama from Ahlul Hadith. And Imam Ahmed's son Abdullah has a book similar to this called Kitab As-Sunnah, that is Osa, is wider than his father's book. And then it is a lot of khair, but it is some things I say where it's not nice because he was very tough on Imam Abu Hanifa. Very tough on Imam Abu Hanifa. Anyway, listen to this. When Imam Ahmed read the 30,000 hadith to those three people, he said to them, these 30,000 hadith, I took them from 750,000 hadith. If you find the Muslimun ikhtalafu about any hadith, let them look at these 30,000. If they don't find the answer to these 30,000, then la hujjata fi. He said, he has a hadith, he's a scholar of hadith, and we have some doubt about hadith, some hadith. And Imam Ahmed said, let this be the reference, the 30,000 that I chose from the 750,000. If you don't find it in here, then throw it away. It's really important, Ikhwani, that as students, we humble ourselves and we realize knowledge is like an ocean that doesn't have any shores. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. I don't care how much knowledge someone has, above him is someone who has knowledge. And that's when the benefit of the story in Sahih Bukhari of Musa and Khidr, who Khidr said, or Musa said to him, I heard when the people asked Musa, who has the most knowledge? The people of Bani Israel, who has the most knowledge in the earth? Musa said, me, based upon his knowledge. He wasn't being arrogant. Allah informed them, no, we have a servant who has knowledge you don't have. And Musa went out to study. Why? Because you'll never amount to anything as far as knowledge is concerned until you take from people who who are below you in knowledge, people who are similar to you in knowledge, and people who are above you. So don't be one of those people who you look at them as being lower than you can't take from them, like your wife, for an example. The wife tells you something about the religion or about something, driving, never listen to her. I used to do that all the time. Every time my wife told me, go that way, I go the other way. We always get lost. But that's in the dunya. Anytime I wear clothes, I ask my wife, which hat should I wear with this? Should I this one? I throw it away and I put this one on. And she always say, you always do that. So she'll choose the one that she doesn't want. And I still throw that. Yeah, I'm always right with that. But anyway, we always have to be willing to take knowledge. That's from the benefit of that story with Musa and Khidr. As it relates to Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah ta'ala, I was making a point. What was the point I was making? Oh, yeah. Alhamdulillah. And Imam Ahmed's statement, if you don't find this in my book, throw it away. This is an issue that can cause problems. And Imam Ahmed's Musnad doesn't contain all of the religion, all of the hadith. We know that. That's a fundamental basic issue. And Imam Malik, one of the greatest scholars of Islam and Amir al-Mu'minin in hadith, the leader of his madhab, the Khalifa of his time, his name was Mansur al-Saffah. He was killing people. He summoned Imam Malik and said, I want to make your book, the Muwatta, the store of the Muslim Empire. What's the store again? The Constitution. You're going to have the main book. You'll find statements that says the Muwatta of Imam Malik is the most authentic book. It was at one time before Imam al-Bukhari came. So we have to know how to take the statements of the ulama that are established with their proper context. So here, Imam Ahmed has hadith in that book that are weak. He has hadith in that book close to being fabricated. So some ignorant people from the shabab, the whippersnappers, youthful exuberance, they came and said, you see, this statement of Imam Ahmed shows he has kibr and he's ignorant. Now, what we have to do is we have to find out what's the makhraj for that kalam. What was he referring to? And that's what the scholars of Islam did before. Why would Imam Ahmed say that? Because what he was saying is, if you come up with any hadith, because there are hadith that are not in that book that are authentic. There are hadith that are not inside Bukhari and Muslim that are authentic. There are hadith that are not in the Kutub al-Sittah that are authentic. So the scholars explain that in different ways. Now is not the time to get into all of that. I just wanted to take that out to show, number one, why is he called the Imam of As-Sunnah? Because of that book, 1 million hadith. And he told the people, if you don't find an asl for that hadith in this book, then it doesn't exist. Even this week. And even if it's not in my book, you may find a hadith in some other book that's not in these 30,000, but you're going to find a similar hadith like that in this book. It's going to be similar, saying the same thing in this book. So he's the Imam of As-Sunnah because of that hadith, because of that issue. Thirdly and finally, Ikhwani, why is he called the Imam of Hadith? It is because Allah Azza wa Jal tried Imam Ahmed more than he tried most people, more than he tried other scholars who we know of. And Imam Malik was tried. When he told the Amir al-Mu'minin and Mansur, no Amir al-Mu'minin, because there's no human being, me, Ahmed, Sufyan al-Thawri, no human being, except some of the Sunnah has passed them by. So how are you going to say you have to blindly follow one of the 4 Imams? How can Imam Ahmed not know that? He knows that. He said, no, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you can't make my book binding on the whole ummah, the dastur of the whole ummah. No, because I didn't gather up all of the sunnah, the aspects of the sunnah that I don't know. Like when the man asks him about making wudu. I don't know everything. No sheikh knows everything like that. Wallahi, today, I don't want to deviate, but I have to touch this point. We've gone through in these last years a marhala that is sayyi'a jiddan. The dalil now with some people who claim the sunnah, the dalil for them is the sheikh said. The sheikh said. No, that's not the way of Ahlul Hadith, the sheikh said. We make istitnas with the kalam of scholars. We don't rely on it. We rely on the proofs, not who said it. So the last thing is that Imam Ahmed was given an ibtila. And because he was tried, his kalam against the people of innovation is more than anybody else. His aqwal, his mawaqif, all of these books like this, Usul of Sunnah, all of them are going to say, and Ahmed did this and Ahmed did that, because he was the blueprint for having salabing in the religion and having thabat. His kalam, he's the Imam of As-Sunnah. The principles of As-Sunnah, like what I told you, throwing a man out of the Sunnah, making tabdi of a man, that's a principle you got to work with, man. Don't be too quick to say to someone, you're an innovator. Don't be too quick. His statements are like that. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, الرجل يبتلى على حسب دينه إن كان في دينه صلابة اشتد بلاه وإن كان في دينه رقة ابتلاه الله على حسب دينه. A person will be tried according to the level of his religion. If he's strong in his religion, he will be tried a lot. If his religion is weak, out of rahmah, Allah won't try him. Some people, if you go, they fall over. They fall right over. Off comes the beard. I'm not going to Juma anymore. And I'm not talking about kafar. His wife can do that to him. His neighbor, his children. And he's ready to throw in the towel. Rasulullah was asked by Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Ya Rasulullah, ayyu nas ashaddu bala'in. Who gets the worst punishment, the worst trials? He said, al-anbiya, thumma al-amthal fal-amthal. The prophets get the biggest ones. And then the people, according to their deen. According to Imam Ahmed was put to a trial, brother. That other scholars say, oh no, leave that for someone else. And not to get deep into it, but I have to mention it to you, inshallah, when we finish here. During the time of Imam Ahmed, the leader was a man by the name of Al-Ma'mun. He was from the Abbasiyin, from the Khulafa. Before him, all of the Khulafa of Al-Islam were on the Aqidah of Ahl Hadith and Ahl Sunnah. All of them. Until he came and he gave his ear to the Mu'tazila. And he came up with this fitna that the Quran is created. The Quran is the kalam of Allah. From him it began. To him it's going to return. He spoke it when he wanted, how he wanted, and so forth and so on. We don't even get into that stuff that these Ahlul Kalam be getting into. So these people, they impacted and affected the leader of the Muslims. And this is why, Ikhwani, for the leader of the Muslims, Imam Ahmed, he dealt with the leader in the way we have to look at it. He didn't make khuruj against that man. He didn't fight against that man. When the people came to him and said, hey, give us permission. We'll go and we'll fight and we'll go. He said, Dima, the blood of the Muslims, the blood of the Muslims. And then I'm going to come Abu Usama, Johnny come lately to Al-Islam in 1986, and I'm going to say, what's wrong with Imam Ahmed? He wasn't brave like me. No, Imam Ahmed knew what he was doing. You're the one who don't know what you're doing. You're the one who doesn't know. So that man, Ma'mun, he started First, what he do? He knows that the people love money. He called the ulama and said, I want you to support this position that the Quran is created. We're going to push this agenda. He said, and everybody's going to get so much money. Some people said, okay, they took that. And that's a fitna, you know. We say respect the ulama, but you got to know, there are bad ulama and good ulama. But it's a slippery slope. You have to have knowledge in making these decisions. You can't make decisions based upon your hawa, your hatred. Those scholars took it, and some didn't. They said, we don't want no dunya. This is the deen. It's the aqid of al-hadith. The imam said, okay, I'm gonna give you the sword on your back. Ali Madini, Yahya bin Ma'in, Abu Haythama, big scholars said, hey, don't hit me on my back. They started saying the Quran is created out of ijbar. They were forced. They started saying this word of kufr. The Quran is created. And Imam Ahmed later on boycotted them sometimes because he was looking to them to be examples for the community. But then Imam Ahmed was teaching the people like the Nabi, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, boycotting the man who owes 2 dinars. He has a dain of 2 dinars. So if the imam of any masjid, every time we do a janazah, we say, does he owe any money? The answer is always going to be, yes, we all owe money. We all are in debt. Madjum, everybody. Even our kids are in debt because of the system. They're born into debt. So the imam is going to not pray behind any of the janazahs? No, we're going to pray behind them. We're going to pray behind them. Rasulullah did that to the people, ta'leeman, so that they would know. So Imam Ahmed dealt with those people like that because they can handle that. After that, Imam Ahmed and a boy who was younger, his name was Muhammad ibn Nur, they stood on the truth. Ma'mun said, I'm going to kill you. Bring him. Bring him to the daughter of the Khilafah. We're going to kill him today. They were bringing in Imam Ahmed to get killed. He made dua to Allah, Allah to get him out of that situation. That Khalif al-Ma'mun died that night. And that's why those scholars who wrote the book, those people who their dua is accepted, they put Imam Ahmed in there all the time with his famous qissa. All the time. All the time. After Ma'mun came another Khalif, his name was Al-Mu'tasim Billah. He took up that same banner. And he put Imam Ahmed in prison for a long time, brother. A long time. You don't have to put your hand up, but has anybody in here been in prison before? You don't want to be in prison, brother. Prison is a fitna. It's a fitna. I don't care if it's maximum security, which is worse, or especially in the Muslim world, you don't want to be in prison. You don't want to be in prison in the Muslim world. Ever. And that's why I'm not even going to say that thing. And Imam Ahmed went to prison for a long time, and they used to come to him. They used to come to him in prison saying, we'll get you out of here. We have the ability. We're going to revolt. He said, no. And he used to make his dua for the leader. He used to make the dua for the leader, as those scholars used to say. Those scholars, Fudail ibn Iyad, those people said, if I had one dua that Allah would answer, one dua, I would make my dua for the Imam of the Muslims. Because if Allah rectifies him, he rectifies the whole ibad, the people, and the land. If it was just, oh Allah, guide my mother to Islam, that's just my mother. And people connected to my mom. But that's how those scholars work. And I can do nothing, Ikhwani, except say to you, I think I'm an alpha male. And I'm not bragging, but I think I'm an alpha male. I'm not a chump. I'm not scared of people. But I don't look at myself as having more courage than Imam Ahmed. Where I see how Ahmed was calm with the leaders, saying what he was saying. And then I'm going to come and say, What's wrong with him? He should be like me, brave and furusiya. Al-mu'min al-qawi. The best jihad is saying the kalimat al-haq in front of the... He did that. He said the kalimat al-haq in front of the leader. He did that. But it's our emotions. We had this big problem in the UK. Big problem with our shabab. And as a result of that Hamas, that unbridled emotions, it put the dawah back. And now they were able to hit us a lot. And now it's going to get worse for the people of England now, inshallah, Allahu A'lam. And that's why I said to the brothers at Masjid As-Sunnah, Anqiduni, save me, save me. And the brother said, okay, come on, come. So I came here. So I want to take this time out to thank all of you for that opportunity. Anyway, Ikhwani, we want to just mention at the end of all of this introduction, instead of getting deep into what these scholars said about Imam Ahmed, you go back and read Wikipedia for an example. One of the best books that talk about the scholars of Islam is by the great scholar Imam al-Dhahabi, student of Ibn Taymiyyah, called Sir Alam al-Nubala. Your kufi will pop off of your head, man, figuratively speaking, when you read about the things that happen with the chain of narration. Not hikayat always, stories like Tabligh al-Nisab, those kind of books, just stories. He said, she said, no, chain of narration. It was a different time. And I hope and I pray that we can be inspired. We can be really inspired about being people of the Sunnah and on the Sunnah when we read about people like this. And we study his book. So we know how to deal with these issues and we know how to deal with these waves. Okay, I'm going to stop here, inshallah. I'm not going to take any questions because what I really wanted to do is I wanted to get finished before the adhan time came, but I knew I would go, for some minutes, but I was figuring without praying any sunnahs, we should start, and then if it's time, we pray the sunnahs because we're learning from one of the great imams of the sunnah. So we should be people who pray the sunnahs before and after and do the best that we can in terms of the sunnah. And Imam Bukhari, in his book of Sahih Bukhari, every single hadith he brought in that book, every hadith, he took a ghusl, and prayed 2 rak'ah. That's what you call alu al-himma. And now we're living in a different time. I understand that, but a lot of times it's kalam. So we get inspired by these people, and they are our imma, the examples for us. Walillahi al-mathalu a'la, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was far beyond that. And his companions, Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'een, were also far beyond that. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to establish us on the Sunnah, make us of the people of the Sunnah, make us the people of Al-Hadith, make us from the Fiqh al-Najiyah, and make us from the people who hear the statement and follow the best of it. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.